Hey everybody, Mike Guillaume from Sons of a Pitch, an American soccer podcast, back at you live for episode 138. Nick, how you doing tonight?
Mike, it's been a good day for headlines, even a better day for me personally, because I finally got some cool new technology, got the wireless earbuds in, using the upgraded mic, put my glasses on so I can sound and look as sophisticated as I sound. I'm feeling good, brother. Ready to talk some soccer with you and all of our viewers and listeners out there.
Awesome. Yeah, no doubt there is lots to talk about tonight. Man, the MLS's back tournament is right around the corner, just 2 days away. We're going to be live, doing live stream reactions for the games coming up in just 2 days. So exactly 48 hours will be right. I'll be right here live. I don't know if you're going to join me or not, but it's going to be lots of fun. TFC just touched down in Orlando. We got the big news with Dallas today, and we've got lots to talk about, man. So let's start out with the elephant in the room, right? Dallas is withdrawn from the MLS back tournament. I can't say I didn't expect it when there was 10 tests or whatever that were positive. But what are your thoughts on Dallas being out?
Sure. So when I first saw some of these headlines, I thought that Dallas as a franchise made the decision to pull out and just say, forget it, it's too risky. But actually it was the MLS that the league itself was the one that said, Dallas, you're out. I've just been figuring out what I could over Twitter because everything broke just within the last couple hours or so. But apparently they tested the team for coronavirus when they left Dallas. Everything was cool. Maybe they had one positive case. I don't know. They get to Florida. They undergo their regular testing at the facility there at the MLS bubble. All the teams that are there, and then at that point, they realize that they have 10 positive tests, and so they're like, all right, that's it, too risky, Dallas team is gone. So the MLS proactively removed the Dallas team from the tournament. So my first thing is, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to these groups? What's going to happen to the legitimacy of this tournament? The legitimacy
Right.
that was there, right? But since the league is the one behind this decision, not the individual franchise, I guess it's still kosher. I guess everything's all right. So the league is gonna. I've seen a lot of theories from let's just reshuffle the groups. You've already got
Right.
Group A with 6. Dallas to make the games up once the regular season gets underway in August, September. Cancel the whole thing. That's another option that has been floated out there. So those are a lot of the different things out there, Mike. We actually got a question from one of our Twitter followers asking us, like, what would you guys do if this was your decision? And I was like, commissioner for a day, right? The power. And my off-cuff joke was like, well, let's see. Let's cross a Roman Colosseum gladiatorial combat and just let all these teams fight it out on the pitch. But we're already worried about the virus. We don't need to add the violence and the maiming and the mayhem or anything like that. So the Designated Players podcast, by the way, go check them out at the DP Pod 1 on Twitter. They're the ones that brought it up. So, Mike, honestly, if it were me, I'd just try to reshuffle it and keep the structure as similar as we have it now. That's me. What do you think?
I think there's lots of different options for them. The way the groups are laid out. If I was commissioner, I would probably just leave things as they are. Unless there's some underlying scenes of, you might have another team withdrawal shortly. If that was the case, then it might change what I'm about to say. But if that was it, the Dallas situation was it, what I would do is just leave the group as is, and just have the 3 teams play, and the third place team, obviously, who would be last, could not qualify, but number 1 and number 2 would. I know that kind of gets shaky at times because at the end you can play the games right, and one team will be out and the other team won't, and they'll say, hey, let's do this, or there's lots of different things that could come into play. But overall, leave it as is. That's what I would do, instead of shuffling the groups up even more, and getting the way the tournament, the next round of the tournament, don't mess that up while you're working on the first round of the tournament. So that's kind of my take on it. I'm upset that Dallas is out. I was looking forward to seeing that Dallas-Seattle game, with kind of the rematch of that playoff matchup, but it is what it is, right? You got 10 tests. You can't let that team play. You just can't. And I don't want to talk about coronavirus and all that right now. I know it's hard not to because of the situation that we're all in, but I don't want to talk about that. Dallas is out. We can't change that. It is what it is. Now, hopefully the league is doing the best it can to keep things on the up and up going through, and let's just get some soccer playing, man. We've got all the logistics have happened so far. Everybody has moved down, has gotten down to Orlando. I think the last 3 teams are arriving tonight, as I know TFC just touched down like half an hour ago, because I've been following their plane ride since, it got turned around like 3 times in the last 3 days. Complete nightmare there, and we can talk more about that later as well. But overall, let's just get on to the soccer, man. We've got 2 days, 48 hours, less than 48 hours now, and we're going to be watching Inter Miami and Orlando City playing MLS soccer. And to me, that is what I cannot wait for. That's what I'm all about. And it's coming, man. It's coming.
Oh yeah. Though as far as, man, I don't think you can leave it like that. It just seems to be inherently uneven and unfair if you've got a group of 3, not to mention you've already got a group of 6. I mean, if you've got the group of 3, then it's like, okay, well, maybe that third team could have qualified. Right. Now they can't. Even though but then still you've only got them playing 2 games. Like, it just seems inherently unfair. And then how are you going to balance out, well, these are their 3 regular season games, the points matter. You have to move something around. Now, I've actually seen some speculation online. Yeah. Again, it's the internet, take it for what it's worth, where supposedly Nashville may be testing positive for coronavirus, so they might, someone in Group A, if not Nashville, or either Nashville goes to fill in because they go naturally back to their Western Conference spot. So it seems like a lot of the discussion is centering on Nashville. But you got to move someone from Group A to take the place of FC Dallas if you want to keep it fair. Then the only thing you need to do is just shuffle the game schedules for Group A, and everything else can continue to flow. To me, it's the easiest, and it's already what's been laid out. Sucks for Dallas, sucks for their fans. Michael Hobert, our guy out, our resident Dallas fan here for our fans and listeners, who brought it to my attention originally. Like, we feel for you, man. But to me, keep it as simple as possible. Do as little to change it as you can. And really, with the fact that the league responded so quickly and saying, look, 10 positive tests, we're taking Dallas out of the equation, it seems to me that they kind of expected something like this might happen and had a contingency already worked out. So I think it's just going to take maybe that one day, that 24-hour news cycle, and then we'll get the next headline from the MLS saying, all right, here we go. Here's how it's going to change.
I want to touch on your piece here about it being inherently unfair and all that kind of stuff. Nick, the whole thing as a whole is a joke. The whole thing is unfair. There's no. This isn't a scheduled tournament. This isn't like this. This wasn't like the U.S. Open Cup with the Canadian teams in it. This is strictly a oh crap moment. What do we do? Here's a good idea. Let's do that. Now things have changed a little bit as far as whether a lot of people. I mean, the jury's out as far as do people think it's a good idea? Do they not think it's a good idea? I personally think it's a good idea because I want soccer back. But that's the whole thing is nobody will remember. Nobody's gonna say like, oh man, like even if say it's I don't know. Let's just for the sake of argument's sake. Sporting Kansas City goes on, they win this tournament, and then they go into MLS regular season play and they go 18-0 in the regular season and they go on to win the MLS Cup, nobody's going to be like, well, that MLS's back tournament was flawed, so that doesn't make them the best team in league history or whatever. No, but this doesn't matter. This whole thing does not matter at all. It is strictly a let's get soccer back. Let's get ourselves into the public, into the American viewer and the worldwide viewer, honestly. And that's all this is about. This has nothing to do. I mean, the CONCACAF Champions League spot. Oh, okay, great, the Champions League spot. People really don't care about that still because we're not going to be able to fight with Liga MX until we have a much higher ceiling as far as a salary cap goes. We might get the odd team here and there that might turn off.
All back to
it's
salary
always
cap.
around salary cap.
All back
it's
to the
always,
salary
Nick, and you know that. But, overall, Eric S. says, he can't wait to watch this, even if the play is sloppy, honestly. I'm with you, man. I can't wait. I'm dying. I have realized that in my life, I've been a huge Toronto Maple Leafs fan my whole life. I've been a huge Toronto Raptors fan my whole life. I'm a diehard TFC fan. I love my school alma mater, FGCU, made their run to the Sweet 16, and I follow them dearly. But man, I'll tell you something. This coronavirus hiatus from all sports has made me realize that I don't care about hockey. I don't care about basketball. I don't care about baseball. I don't care about those sports like I care about this. I can't wait.
Just turn in your Canadian passport right now, Mike.
Don't care.
It's a
changing world. Just think, in like 300 years, soccer will be the number one sport in Canada over hockey, okay? About 300, maybe 400. Just saying. But I can't wait. So, Eric, I'm with you. I don't care if the play is sloppy. I just want to watch some damn soccer and see TFC out there and see all these MLS teams out there and give us something to chat about and really enjoy it. So that's my take on that. I will digress, Nick, and we can move on through the rest of our business here.
Sure. So we're going to continue on with the MLS's back tournament, and we had previewed groups A, B, C, and D previously. We're going to take a look at groups E and F right now, at least groups E and F as they currently stand, again, to be determined if things get shuffled around a little bit. Group E consists of Atlanta, Cincinnati, Red Bulls New York, and Columbus. So you've got a nice Eastern Conference group. You've got some competitive teams who've made some playoff runs in Atlanta and Red Bulls. Columbus, who's had a little bit of playoff history with Atlanta. Newcomer FC Cincinnati. Hell is real derby between the two Ohio cities. A lot of neat little storylines tied into Group E, as with all things in all groups MLS. So, Mike, who are your favorites and your dark horse in this group, and what headlines and stories are you looking to follow out of Group E?
Yeah, so my favorite in this is Atlanta United. Until this team is just too good. They're without Joseph Martinez, and I don't think they really have much striker help other than Adam John. I think he's going to be their main guy as a striker. But you've got Pity Martinez in the midfield. You've got all these other weapons that, Barco and all these guys. Atlanta's dangerous. Jurgen Damm, their new signing, which we also should touch on a little bit later on in the show, is, he's not available for the MLS's back tournament. So that,
Right.
Atlanta's still a stacked team. Cincinnati's got some issues off the field. They're still fighting that battle that, God bless them, they've just been fighting that battle for a long time now, pretty much since they came into the league. And now apparently with Locadia and all that stuff, I don't know. I don't have much faith in Cincinnati at the moment. Red Bulls, you never know with the Red Bulls. They're always good. They're always a decent team. They play a system. They're not necessarily the best players on the pitch, but damn it, they know how to play together and they play well together. Columbus, again, you've got the Columbus Crew. Hey, they're a dangerous team. Jossie Zardes is pumped up. He's made some good comments so far with this tournament, and I think there's a lot of opportunity for Columbus. So for me, I think the favorite has to be Atlanta United, and I picked them to get through. And then I think Columbus, and I think this is a 3-team group. I think Red Bulls could get through as well. Cincinnati, especially with the devastating news of Jurgen Locadia. with that. He's going to be out for a couple of weeks, maybe miss all of the group stage games. I don't know if he's going to miss all of them, but he's not playing in the first game, that's for sure. And he's a big piece to their puzzle. So that one, those are my thoughts there. As far as headlines, you got to talk about that Jurgen Locadia injury, and then the main thing is going to be, can Atlanta United sustain an attack in this tournament without really having a true striker, without Joseph Martinez, and with just a guy like Adam John up top.
Right. I went a little different direction than you when looking at this group, Mike. I've got the Red Bulls winning this group. I think that they are the most consistent team out of these four, and I think they will be able to beat Cincinnati and Columbus, and at worst pick up a draw against Atlanta, and that'll be enough to win the group for them. Atlanta may drop points to Cincy and Columbus. I don't see the Red Bulls dropping points to Cincy or Columbus. That's the difference to me in that group. Atlanta, you're right. They're without their striker, Joseph Martinez, extremely talented on paper. And it still remains to be seen if Frank de Boer can get his guys up and ready to play, especially after the COVID hiatus, if he can get them in tournament form that quickly. The thing about Cincinnati is you've got the Jurgen Locadia injury, which keeps him day-to-day. He has a thigh injury. So we'll see if he plays at all in this group stage, or if he misses the first game or two. Again, day-to-day, you're not going to reveal too much about your new star signing. Keep it close to the chest, whatever. But Cincinnati's biggest problem was defense. Their defense was atrocious. They had like the worst goals allowed in league history last season. And how do they address that? They go out and sign a striker like Jurgen Locadia, or an attacking midfielder type of player, So I don't know if they are going to be able to make the changes necessary to compete with Atlanta's attack, New York's high press, Columbus's organization. Caleb Porter has another year, or he had another year. Now he had additional time during the hiatus to really instill the type of play he wants with his players, that real kind of wing play, overlap, overload,
Nick,
mismatch type of game that he plays.
I got to cut you off. Amador Rojas has joined us, and he's looking for a shout out. He's got shout out, please. And then 20 seconds later, it's in all caps, shout out, please. Amador, here's your shout out, man. And then we got Junio Rudy with the fire, a couple fire flames there, the emojis. So Amador, thanks for joining. And Nick, now that Amador's shout out is complete, go ahead.
Mike, it usually doesn't bother me when you interrupt, but for Amador, by all means. So anyway, I think that kind of was my take on Group E, is that the Red Bulls are the most consistent team. They're tournament ready. They're experienced. I don't think Cincinnati's done much to overcome their flaws from last season. So I've got Red Bulls advancing out of the group. I've got Columbus as my dark horse. I think Columbus, again, if they play within their system with Porter, pick up some points against Atlanta and Red Bulls, and then beat Cincy, then they could get that number 2 spot. Otherwise, Red Bulls Atlanta 1-2 is what I'm looking at in Group E right now.
So while we before I say I want to talk about who we think will be the best player in this group. Before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about our 1,000 subscriber YouTube challenge. Guys, we're looking to get 1,000 subscribers. We've got till the end of the MLS is Back Is tournament on August 11th. If we reach that 1,000 subscribers, one subscriber will be randomly drawn to win a $250 Visa gift card. So, Amador, I know you've subscribed. I'm sure you have with your shout outs, and you're very welcome for that shout out. Thanks for tuning in. And and everybody else, if you're watching, tell your friends about us. Get them to subscribe. Get them entered in to our $250 drawing so that we can get monetized and we can continue to grow our business. So now let's talk a little bit about who we think will be the best player in this group, because there's a lot of talent in this group. You've got the side. You got the new player for Columbus in what the hell is his name? It's not Vargas, the Mexican Zelarayan. I think he's Argentinian actually, but he came from the Mexican league. You've got him. You've got
Lucas Zelarayan.
We've got a lot of talent in this group. Who do you think will be the best player?
No, Mike, Zelarayan.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Yeah, Zelarayan. Yeah.
Zelarayan. I don't know, something like that. So that's, I'm thinking, as far as I like him, he kind of came into the league and started playing well in those first two matchups. As well, Jossie Zardes, for some reason, I think this is a huge opportunity for him. He's got like the chance to kind of show himself off to USMNT and to his his Papa Bear, Greg Berhalter in this tournament. It's a short tournament. These type of things gather attention. So I think Jossie Zardes comes out of this group as the best player to watch for this one. Who's your pick on this before we get to the next listener question here with, or actually Junior Rudy with, why did NYCFC start so bad? Can we recover in this tournament? So go ahead and tell me your thoughts on your Group E player of the tournament so far. Well,
Sure.
right.
Well, I mean, it could be a Columbus striker. You got me looking at their roster right now, Mike. These are the forwards listed on the Columbus roster. Miguel Berry, probably their backup. Giazzi Zardes, their striker, designated player. He's going to be their starter. But they also have Fernando Adi and Jordan Hamilton. A couple of guys you might be familiar with, Mike. That's pretty formidable up front striking talent there. And then, like you said, not to mention Zelarayan. So if Zardes comes out with a chip on his shoulder, trying to impress, trying to silence the critics of his international play, he could have a really good tournament. He could score a lot of goals. On the flip side, though, I'm hoping maybe Aaron Long with the Red Bulls comes out and just keeps clean sheets through the group stage. I doubt it playing an Atlanta team, and I doubt it playing a Columbus team. I just talked about their strikers. But if he can really have some outstanding group stage play, he could be kind of that hidden player that emerges from this group as the group MVP, if you want to call it that. But there's a lot of guys, and in an MLS tournament setting, a lot of different outcomes, Mike. So other than just picking some of the big names, hey, why not Barco?
Right.
Why not Martinez? Why not anyone from Atlanta? Why just pick some names? You never know how it's going to shake out.
Absolutely.
Or Locadia. Maybe he does come back and play all 3 games and score 5 goals.
Maybe
Who knows?
A little chip there and say, hey, he's not going to play. He's got a little thing going on, and then boom, he comes in, he scores four goals in 2 games, and there you go. Maybe not. I don't know.
Right. Now we've got Adam M. joining us on the chat
right.
as well. God bless us all. I hope the tournament goes through as planned. NYRB
hey,
in the
you
house.
Just missed it if you just joined.
Thank you, Adam.
You got that's Nick's
my pick
to win the group.
Red Bulls win the group.
Perfect. Now we got on the other side there with NYCFC. Why did they start so bad? Let's just kind of take a break from our notes and discuss that, because I know Daniel Young is a diehard NYCFC supporter as well, and it kind of similar to a question he asked me back in the beginning. We'll get to his question as well that he brought this week. But NYCFC, I think. They're starting a little bit off because of the new coach, and that's just kind of, I think that the focus around this club is going to be how do we build this team up to be successful in the postseason. I think that's the whole question around New York City.
Yes.
They've been top seed in the East, they've been second seed in the East, they've been third, fourth, I think once or twice. So they know how to do the regular season well. How do we focus on building a team, resting our players, getting something together for the end of the season? I think that's what really attributes to the slow start for New York City FC. They did have CONCACAF Champions League as well, where they went down to, I can't even remember where it was, but they put in a good result there and got the victory in their leg there in, I think it was Costa Rica, it might be. But, then you've got, then they come and play Tigres, right? They got Tigres going on. I was surprised when they went to Toronto and they brought in a full strength lineup for Toronto. I was surprised. I really thought they would rest some players and go with that full strength lineup against Tigres. So I was really surprised with that one. But I think it's just a gelling job. Let these guys, Costa Rica, Junior Rudy points up. So, I think just got to just chill out. Everybody focus on New York City's got to focus on how do we build a team to be successful in the postseason, and as well with some of the news that came out today, they've got to focus on where the hell they're going to be playing their games, because right now that news that came out today where Yankee Stadium and Citi Field have not made any commitments. I mean, do you just move into New York Red Bull Arena? I mean, as much as I hate to say that, because I can't even believe that they actually played a game at Red Bull Arena. Daniel Young says that's San Carlos there. So, yeah, so the two New York City fans there, Junior Rudy and Daniel Young, letting us know. But, what do they do? I mean, that's got to be priority number one, is where are you going to play your games? And I know they said it. They also had a break. It's slowed down their movement on bringing in a kind of finding a new stadium place because of COVID-19, which is fully understandable. But they got to focus on that. Front office needs to focus on that. Let the coach and the players focus on putting something together for the postseason, whatever that looks like this year. If that's a 18-game regular season or a 21-game or maybe no postseason at all, that's going to be their focus going forward. So, anyways, those are my thoughts on New York City. Do you have anything to add on that before we move on?
Oh, plenty to add about New York City, Mike. First of all, COVID-19 has hampered our efforts to look for a new stadium. Dude, you have the internet. You can look for stuff. You can call people.
It's
like
different,
the fact
Nick.
that you're stuck in your office or in your home office, like, what, you can't go out, you don't want to go out and visit the site? Maybe you can't get the EPA to go out and do their environmental testing if you want to move forward with it. But the statement I saw was like, yeah, we've been unable to move forward on this. I'm like, do you have sites in mind? How many sites are there in the New York metro area? Like, there's not much free land. So I really don't buy that. I think that's just a convenient excuse for them to keep playing in tiny, itty-bitty Yankee Stadium and keep that home field advantage. So I'm not buying that. But really the issue is their postseason. New York City fans are no longer content with having good regular seasons. Because first of all, they never won they win a Supporter Shield? I don't think they won any sort of regular season trophy. Supporter Shield or U.S. Open Cup or anything like that. And then they flame out in the playoffs every year. So you don't want to follow the Red Bulls model and be the best regular season team and then do everything else horribly. But at the same time, they're not even winning those other trophies other than the MLS Cup. So focus on the postseason. It's American sports. You got the playoffs. Come in second or third, preserve your guys, and make a run. And until they do that, no one's going to care. Maybe they get a new stadium bump if and when they actually get a new stadium. And those are my thoughts on the citizens of New York.
All right, man. Yeah.
Cheers, guys. Cheers.
So, with that, let's move on to the next group in the MLS's back tournament, the final group, and that is Group F. Group F, we've got them coming up here: LAFC, LA Galaxy, Houston Dynamo, and the Portland Timbers. Big news out of LAFC, although it was, I talked about it probably 3 weeks ago. But Chicharito said for LA Galaxy he's going to play. But I know that I brought up that he and Carlos Vela had significant others who were pregnant. Carlos Vela decided to say, yep, I'm not going because of that, and use that. That part that was in the contract, and he will not be joining LAFC for the MLS's back tournament. And I have got to tell you, Nick, it is making me laugh with all the Twitter people going off saying, "Oh, LAFC's done. They're not going to win anything. They're not going to win a game because they don't have Carlos Vela. They're trash." Stop it. This team put together one of the best seasons in league history, and they haven't had many changes, and they still have picked up some players. They have plenty of talent around. Carlos Vela is a very, very important piece of that. Do not get me wrong. Most valuable player, hands down, no question, the best player in MLS.
Right.
But when you've got a Diego Rossi, when you've got an Adama Diomande, you've got a Mark Anthony Kaye, you've got, all of these guys that they've got, Brian Rodriguez, all these guys, they're fine. They're fine. LAFC will be fine, especially in a group with the LA Galaxy, who have underperformed so far this season. They underperformed last year and the year before that. Zlatan didn't win a damn thing, and he was the only thing for that team. Now they've got to rebuild. Houston, there's lots of questions about that, and we got to get to our listener questions on Houston Dynamos as well. And then you've got Portland Timbers, a decent team, but not really lighting the world on fire. So, what are your thoughts on Group F? Who do you see coming out of this group? And then let's kind of jump from there.
My pick to win the group was LAFC, and even after finding out Vela was going to pull out of the tournament, I also have LAFC winning this group. You're right, Mike. Their roster is still stacked. Let's take a look at their strikers, shall we? Diego Rossi, Brian Rodriguez, also coming in off the bench, Adama Diomande, and you might have heard of this next guy, Bradley Wright
Oh, that
Phillips.
guy.
Obviously at 35, yeah, obviously at 35, he's not the same striker that was lighting it up for the Red Bulls, but the dude can put in a good shift coming off the bench for 20, 30 minutes, especially in a tournament format. And if LA Galaxy and Dynamo are having some heavy legs on the back line, yeah, he's definitely going to take advantage of that. He's still that
Absolutely.
good. You've also got Latif Blessing, who likes to push forward when he can. He's always sniffing around in the box, looking for a quick goal, easy goal. And then in the midfield, Edward Atuesta, Jose Cifuentes. Like, these are the guys that are still there. Mark Anthony Kaye, like you mentioned, Mike. They have a very formidable lineup without Carlos Vela. I think the biggest impact Carlos Vela's absence is it's in marketing. Like, I joked on Twitter, like, oh no, call the interns. They got to redo all the marketing for the tournament. Get Vela's face off of everything. Put on Rossi. They're going to be just fine. LAFC is going to be just fine. I got them winning this group. My dark horse coming out of the group is Houston. There was a viewer question about Houston might be selling Albert Elise to Celtic. If they get that money, maybe they actually spend it. But then again, Houston might not spend it. They might put it back into an academy, which is why they hired Todd Ramos, is to develop everything from the ground up, right? So it remains to be seen. Maybe they get that little edge. Maybe they get that little bump. I forget, who's LAFC have on their first game, Mike? Do they have Houston? Because if they're playing their first game against Houston without Vela, it may take them time to adjust, and then they could sneak away with that.
They're
3
playing
points.
Houston because you've got LA Galaxy and Portland in the other game. So yep, that's their first game there against Houston.
Okay.
I think they'll be fine. I think they still win the group. I think they'll kind of be in a battle with Portland. I think Portland is going to do well in this tournament, and I could see them being right there with LAFC. Maybe draw them without Vela, and kind of come in second place there. Eric S says he's banking on Brian Rodriguez to have a great tournament with Vela gone. I think he'll get over the no goal hump. I agree. I think this guy, he's been close. I mean, you watch some of those games, he was close to scoring some goals, and he's definitely got the quality. So I expect him to kind of blow up a little bit, especially without Vela there. Yeah, the service from Vela not being there might hurt a little bit, but for the most part, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll have a good tournament and kind of step up. So LAFC is my pick to win. Portland Timbers to come out as well in the second place there. And maybe the Galaxy flirt with a third, the third place team that might make it out of the group. I just don't see Houston getting it done with them, especially with their, hey, there's Rocky. Rocky says Portland is well rostered with a solid bench. And yes, they do have a very solid bench. Thanks for joining us, Rocky. Appreciate you coming on. And just in time for the Group F preview. Would you plan this out or something? Just saying.
Yeah, and in Portland, I feel like they extended their title run window or their competition window another season or two coming into this year with a few of their signings, most notably Jimmy Chara, Diego Chara's brother. It hurt when they lost
Right.
Brian Fernandez, but they have been able to sign a few people to fill some gaps, and maybe they extended their competitive window this one more season. And you know what? A quick start tournament at the beginning of the season, $1 million on the line. Let's not forget the prize money. I think it's 1.1 million the league is giving to the top team, so you're going to incentivize it a little bit. I could go a long way in Portland to sign another DP or something, Mike. So they could be hungry for
absolutely.
it too.
Eric S says I can see Galaxy taking second, judging from the first two games. Portland didn't look so hot. Agreed. They barely got over the hump there with Nashville with that 1-0 victory, and I can't remember exactly what happened in their first game. But Rocky says, yeah, cute neighbor came over. Nice, Rocky. Nice. Well done, sir. So Group F, I'm going with LAFC and with Portland, and then possibly LA Galaxy. As far as a player to watch in this one, for me, there's no question. It's Chicharito, man. Period. That's the player to watch in this group. The biggest signing ever. This was just this is the greatest thing to ever happen to MLS ever. Well, prove it to me. Show me something, man. I gotta see I got to see something out of Chicharito. And I'll be watching, the rest of the league will be watching, the world will be watching this tournament. Can Chicharito step up to the plate and be that big-time signing, or will he kind of flail off like he did the first couple games? So I think he is the player to watch in this one. Who's your player to watch, Nick?
Right. It's interesting that you bring up Chicharito because you're watching him for all like the wrong reasons. You're like, is he going to live up to the hype? Are the Galaxy going to do anything? He's the greatest signing since Zlatan 2 years ago. Like, that's why you're watching him. So it's so funny. I really want to see Blanco in Portland. I think he has always been able to complement Valeri and Chara and some of the other players in Portland very well. I want to see him now take the reins because he probably recognizes he's not getting any younger and that this might be the last season Portland's got to try and do anything. I want to see if Blanco can take the reins and really make something happen in Portland. Kind of a 1B scenario. Tab Ramos, how's he going to coach in this first big challenge for Houston? I really want to see how he lines his team up, who he uses, especially since it's a tournament and he's got a lot of youth international experience coaching in tournaments. Is he going to keep the same starting 11 week in, week out? Is he going to give guys 60 and then bring bench players in? Is he going to rotate start? I'd like to see what Ramos does with lineups and how he gets his Houston team up and ready for the first 3 games of this group stage.
All right. Sounds good, man.
So do you want to talk then a little bit more about Houston since we got that question in on Twitter, Mike? Why don't you tee it up for us?
We get a question.
Oh, that's what we do here, right? Mispronounce names and have great segues.
So we did get a question, regarding Houston. I'm trying to find it here in my notes. Of course, why would I not be able to find it, right? Jonathan Wilson.
Jonathan Wilson. Right. So, there we go.
He had said that there's been some rumors for Albert Elise going to Celtic. Or Celtic, however I can't remember. I remember we got in some argument, or not even really an argument, but somebody enlightened us on how to say Celtic or Celtic. I can't remember. But,
it's Celtic. I call it Celtic because I'm an ancient history buff here.
So Celtic, at least the Celtic, will Houston spend the money? And, I looked into this, and this has been rumored for a while. He wants to go to Europe. He said he wants to go to Europe. And usually when players come out and they say, we want to go to Europe, they end up going to Europe. So he's done MLS. He's been here, 3 years maybe? Maybe 4. So he's been here. This is a player where if Houston wants to keep him, if he's being courted, especially the way he's supposedly been courted by Celtic, time to step up and spend the money. I think it's going to go through. I think he'll eventually leave and then go to Celtic. So Houston should probably sell him while they can, if they can, to actually get something out of him, because this is a guy who said this is where he wants to go. And when a guy comes out and says he wants to go there, you're going to have to, kind of come to an agreement somehow, or pay the guy lots of money. You want to pay him the DP money where he's, $5 million a year, $4 million a year, whatever he's going to get, more than what he's going to get at Celtic. Make it worth him staying there. To me, Houston's got to spend the money. Let's see. James Harden came in as a minority investor. What do you say, James Harden? You want to start spending some money like the guys in the NBA do to keep these players? Or, let's see what you got. I personally don't think they're going to spend the money. That's not what Tab Ramos is about. That's not what the Houston Dynamo have been about. They're more about let's kind of build up and grow from the youth and kind of go that low salary type of route. So I think that's the way they'll continue, and the ownership will continue that way. But that, we'll see. I think that's how it's going to go. I think he goes to Celtic when he can. I don't see it happening right now. Maybe, maybe they work out some agreement where he leaves at the end of the MLS season, whenever God knows when that'll be. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
It'll be when Don Garber says it's over. That's when it will
Nick,
be over.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so a couple quick things on Elise's background. He's only 24 years old, Mike, so he's right in the prime of his career. He came over from Monterrey in Liga MX on a loan to Houston in 2017, and then they made it permanent in 2018. So, yeah, he's been with the league now in his 4th season or so. Actually, I was able to find an article in the Scottish Sun. Don't know how reliable it is. I'm not a Scottish newspaper
Yeah.
tabloid guy. But according to this, Celtic had put an offer on the table last year in the £3 million range, and the Dynamo turned it down. They wouldn't even allow Elise to kind of talk to the club at that point. But I think Elise is handling it well. He's quoted in this article as saying, "I know if I have a very good tournament, there are teams that will be watching me, and this is very beneficial for me. I think that we will make the best decision at the end of this tournament." So I'm happy to hear that, because you can usually find a player who's just like, whatever, I know how good I am. International clubs throw money around. I don't need to really worry about anything. Elise is taking the opposite approach. He's saying, there are teams out there who are going to pay for me. I can get to a big club in Europe, watch me produce this tournament, and drive my price up. That way Houston will let me go for the correct fee. Everyone makes money off it, and I get to live out my dream of playing for a top club in Europe. So to me, this is the perfect situation for club and player. Tab Ramos, play him. Let the man go. Let him run free. Let him score goals. Maybe you guys advance out of that group. Then Elise gets like a $7 million deal, and Houston pockets 3 to 4 of that. Like, that would be amazing. I think that's the way to go in this case. And hopefully then Houston can say, well, let's spend a little of that money. Let's get out of our typical spendthrift position and start competing. If the Galaxy are not where they're at, if Kansas City doesn't rebound, if LAFC starts to show a little chinks in their armor, maybe Houston squeaks into the playoffs, and you never know what happens when you get into those single elimination playoff games,
for sure,
Mike.
For sure. And just a little side note, in the chat here, Rocky and Eric S. been going back and forth about, Portland and, the first game against Minnesota United and kind of how they're looking. And this is like, why, I don't know for what you think about it, Nick, but like, this is the kind of stuff that I was thinking of. I love seeing conversation between, if we can help initiate that conversation between American sports fans and American soccer fans, to help grow this game. It's just awesome. I love seeing it. So Rocky and Eric, thanks for, just chatting along here while we're talking. It's awesome. I love it.
Mike, I can't agree with you more. This is why we do it. Grow the sport through conversation. And speaking of conversation, if anyone out there on social media wants to continue to follow us or follow us additionally, you can find us on Twitter at SOP Soccer. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube, on Instagram if we ever decide to update that, at Sons of a Pitch Soccer.
Speak for yourself, Nick.
You can. Okay. Oh, excuse me. I'm not into the gram, Mike. We're even getting picked up overseas. We were on a recent episode of the English podcast, Hipster Footy Pod. Go check them out. Alexi Lawless actually jumped in on a couple Twitter threads that we were a part of. So shout out to Alexi Lawless for having some fun with us and some of our other friends on social media. And of course, you can always email us, podcast@sonsofapitchsoccer.com. Always happy to talk to anyone, direct messages, emails. Thank you to our viewers, to our listeners, to our sponsors. We appreciate all you do for us. So with that public service announcement, Mike, where do you want to take the next conversation? What headline do you want to get into?
First things first is you brought up the sponsors, right? And Donovan Food Brokerage, as well as Nice Premium Iceland Pure Spring Water. And here on YouTube, as I can't even figure it out here where my fingers go to find the bottles, but Skira Icelandic water available at 7-Eleven. Go get some. Thank you for sponsoring us here on YouTube. We are still looking for another YouTube sponsor as well. Skira is doing a short, 1 month kind of. They're trying to get in on the tournament thing, I think. But we're looking for sponsors as well. So if you guys know anybody, or if you're watching or listening, let us know. podcast@sonsofapitchsoccer.com. Send us an email. We'll talk. We'll discuss. What we can bring your business, what you're going to be doing for the growth of the game of soccer here in America, and we'll take it from there. So as far as conversation, let's get into some of the news. Inter Miami. Yeah.
Well, here, hang on real quick, Mike. I want to give a special thanks to John Donovan and Donovan Food Brokerage. For those of you who don't know about the company, it's food distribution, K through 12 vending, national. Like they do everything when it comes to food distribution. So especially coming out of the end of this coronavirus and all the different shutdowns and things going on, if your company is out there looking for distribution, reach out to Donovan Food Brokerage. I know they'll take care of you. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that as we emerge from all these shutdowns and sheltering in place, Donovan Food Brokerage is ready to take care of all your company's food distribution needs, schools, businesses, everything. So I wanted to make sure to get that in there, Mike.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Donovan Food Brokerage. Appreciate you every step of the way. Been with us for a long time. Definitely appreciate it. Let's talk a little bit about Robbie Robinson, the striker for Miami. Right? He just left the bubble. I mean, what happened here? All I see is that he left.
Yes. So there was an article on MLSsoccer.com just today. Inter Miami's first overall pick, their rookie, their soon-to-be star player, decided to leave the MLS's back tournament for personal reasons. So far, there's no other information. I imagine a lot more will be leaked out over the next several days. But fortunately for Inter Miami, they have a roster that's stacked with a lot of young talent who could easily fill the place of Robbie Robinson early in the season, at least. I don't think anyone's going to really take his place long term. You don't draft a guy number 1 overall, and you don't hype him up as much as you had in order to say, yeah, we'll see what happens. But in this case, we do have to see what happens. But he will not be part of this tournament. We do expect him back in August after the MLS's back tournament. And we expect him to have a prominent role with Inter Miami, especially if he is taking some time off. He'll have the fresh legs and hopefully propel Miami to their first ever playoffs in their inaugural season here. So that is the Robbie Robinson headline. He is left the bubble. Mr. Robinson has left the building, the bubble. And by the way, with the new safety protocols for the MLS's back tournament, once you leave, you're gone. That's it. No re-entry. You cannot get tested and, okay, you're negative, everything's fine, come back in. Nope, once you leave the bubble, you are gone. So we will not see him until post-tournament play resumes.
That Eric S. says he's bummed that he's not playing. It was fun to watch against LAFC. Hope all is well with him. Yeah, hopefully, it was nothing too serious that made him have to leave. But, again, Miami, they've got Carranza coming back from injury, I believe it is. Is it Carranza or so he's coming back, so that it's not going to kill him. But again, the depth is low there up front. They have some good wingers, they have some good midfielders there that could kind of step in. But as far as an out and out striker, not much. So hopefully everything is well with Robbie Robinson and his family, and he can resume his growth to being a good number 1 pick once things come back. Second thing up here, LGP to Inter Miami on a TAM deal. Speaking of Miami, LGP comes back from Cholos in Liga MX. You say in the notes he was with Cholos for a year. It wasn't even a year because all this break and everything going on. So he was with Atlanta. He left Atlanta at the end, in the offseason, so in the wintertime. And now he's done in Liga MX. He's back here with Miami. Hell of a signing for Miami, man. I mean, he's proven. I don't know how he did in Liga MX as far as with Cholos, because I'm not a huge Liga MX guy. I don't follow all the games. But what I saw in MLS, a very good center back. Sometimes kind of gets caught out of position. Sometimes he's a little bit mouthy to the referees. Sometimes he's not the perfect center back, but he's damn good. And definitely can help an expansion side like Inter Miami. So LGP to Miami. Good stuff, man. That's a good move for them.
I'm psyched to have him back in the league. I said it last season when we were recording. I'm like, someone just needs to foul him the first minute of the game. That way he just gets up for that game. He plays with such passion and emotion. Sometimes it gets the best of him. Sometimes he can confront the official, or he might, commit that hard foul away from the play and draw a quick yellow or possibly a red. But I love seeing that he's an aggressive defender, and the times he gets involved in the attack, he's competent enough to know where to play the ball, or at least have a shot on goal. I think he's one of those defenders who aren't going to pass up the opportunity to get on the stat sheet with a shot if he's anywhere within 20, 25 yards. So I'm excited to have LGP back in Inter Miami in MLS. And looking at their defensive lineup here, you've got Mikey Ambrose, AJ De La Garza, LGP, Alvis Powell, another old MLS name, Ben Sweat, Roman Torres. Like, they actually have put together a very respectable defense on paper. The headlines are all their strikers. They've got a pretty good a defense there, Mike. And they even signed, get this, Rex Shea.
I saw that.
Rex Shea, the former future of U.S. soccer, 30 years old, a guy who can easily come off the bench and give you a solid 20, 30-minute shift or a spot starter if needed, among other defenders on the roster. So good for Inter Miami to take care of that.
Absolutely. Moving along, we got about 10 minutes left, Nick, and we've got lots to talk about. Still, we got some listener questions to still get along. Let's talk a little bit about Jurgen Damm. We mentioned it earlier in the show. Jurgen Damm comes from Tigres, signed by Atlanta. My first thought on this, I knew he was looking at coming to MLS eventually, right? I knew he was coming.
Yeah.
Dude, where is it? How does Atlanta get these guys, man? Like, how this guy is DP level, Tam, maybe. How are they getting players like this? I mean,
dude, Uncle Arthur knows how to wheel and deal, man.
Carlos Bocanegra, man. I mean, who's the? It's just crazy to me. I mean, they just keep making all of these great pickups, and that's a huge pickup for them. Jurgen Damm, the speed. I mean, can you see him on that turf in Atlanta at the Benz? I mean, that speed is sick. One of the fastest players in League MX, one of the fastest players in the world. He's a good player. He was coming in off the bench for Tigres, but he could definitely have been a starter there. So a great pickup there. He's a Mexican national team player. When you're playing for a club like Tigres, you've got talent. He's going to join after the MLS back tourney, like we discussed earlier. And, still seeing more and more League MX players coming over. So, Nick, you're muted if I can't hear you. There you go.
Bad. I was going to say, great signing, good for Atlanta. Just makes me like Carlos Bocanegra as an executive as much as I liked him as a player. It's fantastic. That's a compliment. I'm not trying to take an underhanded shot at him. Love Bocanegra. Next kind of bit of news, Mike, unless you got anything left about
Nope.
Jurgen Damm. FC Austin, the expansion team, the third club in Texas. They have signed their first MLS roster player, Rodney Redes, however you want to accent it up a bit, out of Paraguay. He's a 20-year-old striker. Austin signed him. He's been loaned back to his club in Paraguay, Guarani, and the transfer will be complete in January. So he'll join Austin in January. He's playing in the Paraguayan top flight. His club is currently fourth in the Apertura, fourth in the table. They've only played 7 or 8 games, and he's got 2 goals in 5 appearances. So, Mike, from a soccer perspective, this is a young striker they can build around. From a financial perspective, I don't know if they signed him as a DP yet, if they haven't to disclose that, but Transfer Market, that website, has him valued around $2.75 million. So he's in that low DP, high TAM range. Do you think he's a good value, and do you think by playing for Austin in the MLS, he can get to the Paraguayan national team? Because that's his stated goal.
Timeout. First of all, you called them FC Austin. Nick, it's Austin FC. How are you gonna do the brand new expansion team coming in? We got people watching this, people asking us questions, and you can't even say the team right. Come on, man. Austin FC.
Austin FC, FC Austin. They took the Columbus Tifo and made it their logo. I mean, that's where my head's at right now.
Take your old feelings for Anthony Precourt and put them over there.
I'll tell you, I was thinking about this earlier, Mike. There's one moment in every episode where you can be like, that's where the alcohol hits Nick. That's where his drink kicks in and he put the glass down. I just had that moment right there calling it FC Austin. Thank you.
No problem.
You, Mike.
Anyways,
But anyway,
back
to
to
the
it.
soccer at
So,
hand.
Rodney Redes, I believe it's Redes. It's one of those signings, right? It's one of those kind of under the radar South American signings. The kid has the pedigree. He's got the, he's got that something from South America where people are like, oh, he might be a big time player in the future. And just the perfect type of player to bring into MLS and, see what can happen. Last time that, somebody like this, obviously Miguel Almiron had a little bit more fanfare before the move than Rodney Reyes. But,
He was coming,
right, he was coming from a bigger club. But from what I can see, the kid's got some serious talent. And he's considered one of the best players in Paraguay coming up. So I think it's a good move to bring somebody in like that, where it's not quite clear if he's going to be a DP type level. He might be a TAM level. So I like it. I like the move a lot. Let's see how he progresses. Let's see what he can do when he's here playing in MLS. And it's kind of like a shot in the dark. I mean, we've had some players come in from South America that haven't done well. We've had some players come in from South America that have done really well. So I think it looks like a good signing from here. But again, it's the first signing. This team is still not into play for another year or so. So, there's some time. So, there's some good banter here about if Nashville miraculously plays, they're a plus 475 against Chicago. And I have to mention it. If you haven't watched it already, I did my MLS picks and predictions. And when I took the screenshots to make my picks the other night, when I recorded, and then it took me a couple days to actually edit it, they were like a plus 250 or something. I don't even remember. It was way less than a plus 475. Must have been something with that COVID news. But, they're a huge dog against Chicago, where Chicago's not a proven thing right now either. I think they've got some pieces. I think they're going to win that matchup, but a tempting bet, as Eric S. says. As well, Rocky with his his things to say there. And, I love it. I just love this banter over here on the side and seeing these guys, chatting. I'm loving it. But
especially now we're going to call Redis his new nickname is Salsa.
Salsa.
I think that's what we've all but established it.
like Bofo Cicero, right? And that whole thing. But I'm gonna let that.
There you go.
Let it go and move on. So Austin, nice move. Let's see. As time continues, let's see what kind of club you build. So what's next, Nick?
Cool. So I think we're running out of time here, Mike. I'm gonna hit a few quick headlines. You fill in with some color as you see fit. On the international side of things, Jesse Marsch, American-made, he was named the Austrian Bundesliga Coach of the Year for his job helping FC Salzburg win that title. Listen to this, Mike. Their goal differential, plus 76. The second place team was plus 21. They had 22 wins to the next team 17, 50 points to the opposing 38. Like it was
damn. That's a
insane how good this team was. Yeah, 110 goals for over 32 games. They were scoring over 3 goals a game, a hair over 3 goals a game. That's insane. No wonder he's coach of the year over in the Austrian Bundesliga. So great for Jesse Marsch. Some other World Cup related news. It is official. Chicago is out as a World Cup host city.
Yeah.
We kind of knew it back when Rahm Emanuel was the mayor. He released a statement in 2018 saying, we don't want it. It's FIFA couldn't provide the details needed. It puts our city and our taxpayers at risk. Well, of course, because it's more tax money going to the World Cup than it is to the politicians in Chicago. But I'm not going to
stay
out
of
the
politics,
here,
Nick.
Mike.
Stay out.
Stay out of the politics. All you need to know is that it's Chicago, and that's it. But his office didn't want to pursue it. Nobody else has picked it up. To me, it's a bummer, not only because it would have been the closest venue for us to attend, but Chicago has such a rich soccer history in the United States, even hosting the opening game for the World Cup in '94. I would have loved to see it, especially because now you've got the Fire back at Soldier Field. You could have done so much to build up the sport in the city and really bring the world's eye to it. Plus, it would have been a nice kind of middle finger for those people who are like, we should have gotten the Olympics. Look how great we can do with the World Cup. But they released their short list of cities in the U.S. Chicago is not on it.
I got to break into this,
right
conversation.
Come on in, man. Come on in.
I'm going to stay out of politics here. But the fact is, it's a huge opportunity missed for Chicago. This is something where, the tourism dollars that are involved, when you have a World Cup in places like, where were the last 4 World Cups? Okay, you had back your last 3 World Cups. So 2010, you've got, South Africa. You've got, in 2014, you've got Brazil.
Very difficult to travel to. You had the one virus situation in Brazil, so that hampered travel.
Yeah, so,
Zika,
and
that's
then,
right.
And then you've got Russia, which is not the most friendly place in the world,
where nobody wants to go for vacation.
Yeah, I mean, and you're still bringing in these dollars. The fact that a World Cup would be played on U.S. soil, Mexican soil, Canadian soil, it's going to bring people. People from all over the world are going to come. It's going to be a huge, huge event. Why would you not bring in, I mean, when your big event every year is Lollapalooza, and it brings in a bunch of 16-year-old pot-smoking, crackhead kids that aren't spending any damn money except on the Metro, why would you not bring in an event like the World Cup, where you're going to have people from all over the world coming to this city? It's an absolute shame that, that it didn't get done. I'm upset that, I live here in Illinois just like you. I want to see things flourish here. And, a bad move, a total bad move. And as Rocky says, got to get the mob involved, LOL. Yeah, where the hell's Al Capone when you need him, right? So either way, I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed. It's not only because I'm a huge soccer fan and I'd love to go to a game here in Chicago. It's just disgusting that they couldn't get this done. Chicago is an American icon. You have New York, you have LA, you have Houston now, which has taken over Chicago for the 3rd biggest city. And then you've got, with Chicago, right by population. And, it's a shame. So I would have loved to seen a game here, and it's a huge opportunity missed for that. So enough on that.
So the closest cities for us to get to, Nashville, Cincinnati, Kansas City. Those are the closest. Those are your quote-unquote Midwestern cities that are in the running for it. And I doubt all 3 of them are going to get it. So if you live in the Midwest, you're going to have 3 or 4 games that you have to travel 2 states over to get to. Like, it's not good for us here. So that's kind of the quick international headlines, Mike. Anything else that you want to bring up or go over? I think I am just about spent for tonight's episode, but I'm happy to indulge.
I want to touch on Daniel Young's conversation about the USL a little bit before we go. He had mentioned Queensboro FC, and that's David Villa's first, his new team in the USL. USL is like I remember he asked, what do you see in the USL? Why do you like it? What's the driving factor? And for me, my response initially to him was, look, the fact that it's soccer that's necessary to continue the game to grow here is huge. And that's what I really like about the league. It continues to grow, continues to get better, and it makes the U.S. soccer status even better. USL is growing. It's not something, he says, what type of stadiums do USL teams play in? How can it become the top development league for CONCACAF talent? As far as what type of stadiums they play in, right? You've got anywhere from a type of high school stadium to a soccer specific stadium. Louisville FC, just Louisville City FC, I believe it is, what's just built a new stadium down there, and it's a soccer specific stadium. So they've got that. There's a couple other teams that have soccer specific stadiums, and then you've got teams that are playing in high school type stadiums. There's a whole range, but that will grow and get better. It's a matter of time before half the league is playing in soccer-specific stadiums. How can it become a top development league for CONCACAF talent? It's not going to be a top development league for CONCACAF talent. It's just not there yet. It's a long ways away from that. It's not going to happen now. You're going to have some guys who are going to get some minutes in MLS. You're going to have some guys who are going to get some minutes maybe overseas at a bigger club that might, one or two might take off and become better players. But it's not going to be a huge developmental league yet. Down the road, it might become that. If MLS becomes one of the top leagues in the world, USL might then become kind of there. As well, he was talking about some, U.S. cities or overseas territories that can accommodate a team. As far as overseas territories, he said Hawaii or Puerto Rico, etc. Puerto Rico used to have a team in USL, and they did okay. I could see them going back there.
They did okay on the field. I think they had maybe 2,000 fans.
Yeah, Puerto Rico is more of a hotbed for baseball than it is for soccer. But, as far as Hawaii, I think the travel issues there are just too much. I don't think you're ever going to see a team in Hawaii, at least one that would stick. But that's I think as far as USL right now, they've got to focus on that the inside of the United States, the continental USA and Canada, and continue to grow and continue to grow League One, and then down the road that might be something they could look into. But overall, I just wanted to touch on Daniel's question. Daniel, I appreciate it. Like every week, man, you're bringing us the heat. You're bringing us some questions to talk about. I love it. Keep it up, and we appreciate you and your time absolutely. So, Nick, that's all I've got for tonight. Why don't you bring us home, man? Let's get ready for some games on Wednesday.
Absolutely pumped for the games. Stay on the lookout on social media. Mike's going to be doing some live broadcasts. I will try to join him. Work schedule pending, or work schedule depending. So make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube at Sons of a Pitch Soccer, on Twitter at SOP Soccer, so you can get all of our updates. We want to thank Eric S., Rocky Does It All, Daniel Young, Amador Rojas, like everyone who's jumped in. Junio Rudy, we appreciate you joining us. I think it's the first time we've seen your name pop up on our thread. Adinem, thank you guys all for tuning and listening to our sponsors, Donovan Food Brokerage, Nice Premium Iceland Pure Spring Water, Skyra Water at your local 7-Eleven, available now. Go check it out. I feel like we're becoming the official sponsor for the hydration breaks here. Like, we've got two water companies helping us out. But especially to our listeners, to our viewers, it's so much fun conversing with you, putting out soccer content every week, and we're happy to do it as long as you're happy to listen. Please tell your friends, help us grow, share our links, spread the word, because that's what we do. We're talking soccer here in the US.
And look out for the Predict 6 episode coming out tomorrow morning at I believe it's like 8 or 9 Central. I've got it scheduled for, so that'll be out as well. And if you haven't watched it yet, check out the picks and predictions, my thoughts on who I think will win the first round games from there. So thanks everybody. We will talk to you guys soon. Have a good night, and we'll see you guys Wednesday evening for some live stream reactions when MLS is back.